Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Top Hat Gaming Man here, and the big news on the information superhighway today is the upcoming release of the new PlayStation Mini by Sony. You may notice that there was already a wide variety of videos on YouTube talking about this thing. However, the majority of them just kind of regurgitate exactly the same information what you can find in the advert released by Sony. So most of them are pretty moot, if you ask me. So I too have been thinking about the PlayStation Mini, and I wasn't going to release a video at all because I couldn't really think of anything new or interesting to add what people haven't already said. However, I had an alpha wave where two pieces of information went together in my brain to give me a new idea. Yes! And that was regarding how well the system is going to sell and how available it's going to be down the line. Although this is clearly a copy of many other mini products we've seen on the market in the past, the PlayStation Mini I feel will sell far better than any of the other systems previously, simply due to the fact that it is quite clear that Sony are perhaps the most successful and most influential company in the history of video games on home consoles. They have made impacts in every region around the world, and no matter which home Sony system we speak of, they have all performed astronomically well. The Sony PlayStation, the original, the system which the Mini will be emulating in the first place, that system sold like bloody hotcakes, didn't it? It absolutely killed both the Sega Saturn and the Nintendo 64. It dominated the market. Then we had the PlayStation 2 come along past that, and that dominated gaming more than any system has ever done so in history. It's still the highest selling games console right up until this very day. Now Sony had a little bit of the bump in the road when it comes to the PlayStation 3, but in the end they caught up with the Xbox 360, and only the Nintendo Wii outsold it that generation. And when it comes to that generation, it was rather strange anyway. The Wii itself sold like hotcakes and was found everywhere, found even in places like old people's homes, but only the system sold really well. When it came to the library of games, most people just bought a Wii and perhaps Wii Fit and Wii Sport, then never used the bloody system again. So although the system sold well, the games did not sell anywhere close to as well as what they did on the 360 or PlayStation 3. So that, in terms of that generation, you can't really call a winner. Either way, the PlayStation 3 sold very well regardless. And this generation, again, the PlayStation 4 has absolutely killed the Xbox One and the Wii U, which was pretty much dead on arrival, to be fair. But I suppose it'll probably outsell the Nintendo Switch as well. That's at least how it's looking, isn't it? So yes, Sony have dominated the home console market, so I fully expect this PlayStation Mini to sell extremely well as well. But this is where it gets interesting. I think this system is going to sell so well that it's probably only going to be a year and the system's going to be completely worthless. So if you are like myself and like to procure a range of games and systems on the cheap, then I would strongly advise you to wait for this system, because the Sony PlayStation has an absolutely huge install base, as I've stated obviously earlier in this video. It's not just going to be your nerdy gamers picking up this bloody thing. Every man and his dog is going to buy one of these things. You're going to get, I don't know, what's the best way of describing it? Casual gamers, is that the word? You know, the sort of mothers who game on stuff like Candy Crush Saga and all stuff like that. The PlayStation sold so well, I can see the likes of those picking up the system. Or the people who are heavily into things like only Call of Duty and FIFA and stuff like that. They will be very nostalgic about the PlayStation because it obviously hit every key market demographic. Nintendo, they've never quite had the same level of pop culture level of appeal to that of which Sony have had with their PlayStation. Hence why when Nintendo originally released the NES Mini a couple of years ago, they at first released it in an extremely limited supply, as they made the assumption that it was going to be a fairly niche product. Overall, however, it was very popular because back in the day, the NES was extremely popular in regions like the USA and Japan, and their love for it, filtered over to YouTube, and has made the system more popular worldwide. So the NES Mini sold very well, and Nintendo went on to manufacture even more of the products. And by the time they released the Super Nintendo Mini onto the market, they made sure they had enough products to reach the level of demand. The PlayStation, on the other hand, as I stated earlier in the video, is a different kettle of fish altogether. It is a different beast. The system is hugely more popular than that of any Nintendo product. The PlayStation brand alone is a much bigger name than that of a Nintendo Entertainment System, for example, or a GameCube. The name PlayStation is synonymous with gaming. If you was to ask a non-gamer to name a games console, I would, in all likelihood, make the assumption that they're going to say a PlayStation. It's just the biggest console brand of all time, by an absolute country mile, come to think of it. So overall, I suppose I think that Sony are going to make an outrageous amount of money with this product. It's going to be everywhere, like literally everyone under the sun is going to want it, and due to this reason, that's why I believe as a product it won't be worth very much in the future. Hence why, if you're a collector like myself and have lots of things, wait for it, because you're definitely going to be able to get it cheap. Like, what is it? Is it $99 in America? 99 euros in mainland Europe, I believe, and it'll probably end up being something like £89 in the UK, if I was to guess. I've not seen a UK bespoke advert for the bloody thing yet, but either way, it is very expensive for what is essentially just a little emulation box. But it's got the PlayStation brand on it, and like I said, that is a big thing for many people. So many people will be happy to fork out that huge sum of money for the simple product. But if you're sensible, like myself, you will wait for it, because you'll be able to get it for a good price. The game list so far, it looks fairly interesting as well. They've only announced 5 out of the 20 games, and some of them look quite good. Obviously you've got Final Fantasy VII, everybody loves that one, Tekken 3, and a range of others as well. In fact, I'll just grab this quickly. I have here my original PlayStation as well, and just to add, it sold ridiculously well, and it's worthless, which is why another reason why I think the PlayStation Mini would be worthless. What's this probably worth? £5 or something like that, because they were so mass produced. And then another reason why it's worthless, you can play original PlayStation games on your PlayStation 2, so in a way it's obsolete. In regards to the PlayStation 2 as well, many models of the PlayStation 3 were also backwards compatible with PS2 and PS1 discs as well. And there are even more models of PS3s which are just backwards compatible with the PS1 discs. So there's a range of ways today in which you can still officially play the discs. Like, I believe PlayStation 3s are still being manufactured right up until this very day. So there are still official devices coming out which play original PlayStation games, although saying that, I doubt there's PS3s being released which are still backwards compatible, because, you know, companies do get stingier as the years go on. But either way, there are PlayStation 3s around that play PS1 games. And also, if you take the PlayStation Store into account as well, you can procure many PlayStation games for extremely cheap or using their online services. Which brings me up to another point as well. Sony are a very strong company, aren't they, when it comes to what they release in the console market. And with the PlayStation Store, I believe you can buy games on one system, connect them to your account, and then I believe, I could be mistaken, play them on other devices. Like, I think you can buy a PS1 game on the PlayStation 3 and transfer it over to the Vita or PlayStation 4. That's another reason why this PlayStation Mini might drop in value, because there's just less uses for it overall than that of an NES Mini, because there's so many ways which Sony have allowed us to continue to enjoy PlayStation 1 games. Like, let's look at the Nintendo Switch, for example. You still can't even get Super Nintendo games on the bloody thing. It's absolutely outrageous when you think about it. But Sony, like I said, they're great. They don't often put a foot wrong. And it's due to the fact they don't often put a foot wrong, which is why I suspect the system will sell like hotcakes. So, if you want one for cheap, just wait a year and you'll probably have one for £10 to £20. Cheerio!